Hey guys, this is Vanessa from the Pudgy Rabbit, and today I'm going to show you how to make this cute ruffle pouch. This is a really straightforward pattern that uses mostly single crochet and half double crochet for the trim. Inside you can fit small items like a pack of tissues, some lip balm, hand sanitizer, and then you can close it up to keep them all organized. This is a pretty quick afternoon project, so it's great if you're a beginner or you're looking to make a gift for a friend or you just need something to organize your bag. For materials, you'll need some worsted weight yarn in 2 different colors. First color will be the main color of your pouch, that's color A, and then your second color will be the trim, color B. You'll also need a 5mm crochet hook and a yarn needle. I'll have all the materials as well as the abbreviations for the pattern listed in the description below, so let's get started. So starting with the main body of the pouch, we're going to begin with color A, and for row 1, we're going to chain 31, then insert into the second chain from the hook, single crochet 30 down the chain for a total of 30 stitches at the end. I just made my slip knot and now I'm going to chain 31. And that's my base chain. Now counting back from the hook, that's the first chain and that's the second chain. I'm going to insert my hook into the second chain and work my first single crochet. There's my first stitch, and now in each chain I'm going to work 1 single crochet until I reach the end for a total of 30 stitches. Finishing up my last stitch, and that's row 1. For rows 2 to 20, we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work so that we're going in the opposite direction, and we're just going to work straight rows of single crochet for 30 stitches at the end of each row. Finishing up row 20, and then I'm going to pull a length of yarn through and then trim off a pretty long tail. Pull the tail all the way through that last stitch, and this will fasten off my yarn. And then I'm going to get my yarn needle and just weave these tails back into the pouch. Now my ends are all woven in. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a stretch because sometimes my stitches are a little bit tight, but there's my front pouch piece. And now I'm just going to repeat rows 1 to 20 and make a second piece. And we're ready for the flap. Starting with color A again, for row 1, we're going to chain 19, then insert our hook into the second chain from the hook, and single crochet 18 down the chain for a total of 18 stitches at the end. And there's our base chain. Now counting back from the hook, that's the first chain, there's the second chain, going to work my first single crochet into the second chain. So there's my first stitch, and now I'm just going to continue down the chain working one single crochet until I reach the end for a total of 18 stitches. Finishing up my last stitch. And that's row 1. For row 2, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and then we're going to increase into the first stitch of the row, then we'll single crochet 16 and increase in the last stitch. So I'm going to work 2 single crochets into the first stitch. And there's our increase. And now I'm going to single crochet 16. Now we're at our last stitch, so I'm going to work 1 increase, so I'm going to work 2 single crochets into the same stitch. And that's row 2. For row 3, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, then increase in the first stitch, single crochet 7, then we're going to chain 3 and skip the next 3 stitches, then we'll single crochet 8 and increase in the last stitch for a total of 22 stitches at the end. So there's my increase. Now I'm going to single crochet 7. So that's 7 single crochet, and then now I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going to skip the next 3 stitches and then insert my hook back into that 4th stitch. So skip these 3 stitches and then insert my hook back into that 4th stitch, and then I can single crochet 8. And that's row 3. And you can see we started to make that buttonhole. For row 4, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, increase into that first stitch, then single crochet 9. Then when we reach the chain, we're going to single crochet 3 down the chain, and then single crochet 8 and increase into the last stitch of the row for a total of 24 stitches at the end. Now we've reached the chain, and I'm going to work 1 single crochet into each chain. Now I'm finished working down the chain. I'm going to single crochet 8 and then increase in the last stitch of the row. And that's row 4. For row 5, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and then increase into the first stitch of the row, single crochet 22, then increase into the last stitch for a total of 26 stitches at the end. And that's row 5. For row 6, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, increase into the first stitch, single crochet 24, then increase into the last stitch for a total of 28 stitches at the end. And that's row 6. For row 7, we're going to chain 1, turn our work, increase into the first stitch, and then single crochet 26, increase into the last stitch for a total of 30 stitches at the end. And that's row 7. For rows 8 to 10, we're going to chain, turn our work, and then single crochet in each stitch of the row for a total of 30 stitches at the end. Finishing up the last stitch of row 10, then I'm going to pull a length of yarn through and trim off a nice long tail. pull that tail all the way through that last stitch. This will fasten off my yarn, and then I'm going to get my yarn needle and weave in both tails. So all our ends are woven in, and there's our flap for the pouch. And now we're ready to add on the ruffle. Using color B, we're going to attach the yarn to the end of row 10. Then we're going to half double crochet 4 into the next stitch, into the same stitch, and then we'll slip stitch 3, and we'll repeat this set until we've gone all the way around the flap to the other side of row 10. So to attach our yarn to the end of row 10, I'm going to get my hook and insert it into that last stitch. Once your hook is in that last stitch of row 10, take the tail end of color B and then drape it over your hook. Then pull it through that last stitch, and now we have a loop on our hook. I'm just going to hold onto the tail end with my thumb and forefinger like this, so I don't pull it out all the way. Then I'm going to work 4 half double crochets into the next stitch, all into the same stitch, and then in the next 3 stitches I'll work a slip stitch. So I'm going to yarn over and work my first half double crochet. Basically all your stitches are going to be worked into the end of each row. There's my first half double crochet. I'm going to insert my hook back into that same stitch to work 3 more. And there's my 4 half double crochets. You can see the start of the ruffle, and on the back you can see there's the tail of the yarn, and I'll weave that in at the end. Now in the next 3 stitches I'm going to work a slip stitch. And there's my 3 slip stitches. Now in the next stitch I'm going to work another 4 half double crochets. And there's my second ruffle. Now I'm going to slip stitch 3. And that's it. I'm just going to continue repeating this set of working 4 half double crochets into the same stitch and then slip stitching 3. Repeat this set going all the way around the flap until you reach the other side of row 10. So I've gone all the way around and I'm on my last stitch at the other end of row 10, but I've only done, my set, I've only done 2 slip stitches, and in this last stitch I should make another slip stitch. But since I want to end on my half double crochets to match the other side of the ruffle, instead of doing 3 slip stitches, I'm just going to do 2 and then end with 4 half double crochets into that last stitch. Finishing off that last stitch, now I'm going to pull a length of yarn through and then trim off a pretty long tail, and using my yarn needle I'm just going to weave these ends in. Trimming off the last tail. And there's the finished flap. Now we're ready to make the button. Starting with color B again, for the button we're going to chain 2, then insert our hook into the second chain from the hook, and then single crochet 6. After you're done with your last stitch, trim a pretty long tail and then pull that tail all the way through. And then we'll use these 2 tails to attach the button to the pouch. Now we're going to add a ruffle to one of our main pouch pieces. So similar to the flap, we're going to use color B, and we're going to attach the yarn at the end of row 20, then work 4 half double crochets into the same stitch, then slip stitch 3, and we'll repeat this set until we've gone all the way around the pouch to the other side of row 20. So finishing up my last stitch, I'm going to trim off a pretty long tail and then use my yarn needle to weave the ends in. Trim off that last tail, and there's the ruffle for the body of the pouch. Now we can sew everything together. Before we sew everything together, we need to decide what will be the front of our ruffle pouch piece. So since we can see the pouch sticking out through the trim in the back, I'm going to say this is the back of the piece, and I'm going to lay our second pouch piece on top of it and then sew these 2 together like this so that the ruffle will be facing, the nice part of the ruffle will be facing outwards. So using color A, I'm just going to cut a really long piece, thread my yarn needle, and stitch all 3 sides around, leaving the top open. Finishing up the last stitch. And here's the body of my pouch all sewn together. Next, we're going to sew on the flap, and I'm just going to line up the top of the flap with the back pouch piece and then whip stitch them together. Since I have enough yarn left over from when I sewed the two pouch body pieces together, I'm just going to continue using that yarn. Finishing up that last stitch, and now I'm back at the beginning from where I started sewing my pouch pieces together. So I'm just going to use that tail left over from the start and tie my two ends together and then weave them both in. Trim off that last tail, and there's my pouch all sewn together. Now all we have to do is attach the button. With my button, I'm just going to take my yarn needle and move this end tail closer towards the center, and this will just make it easier to attach it on. Now that my tails are both in the center of the button, I'm going to fold the flap down and then use my finger to mark off where the button should be. And using my yarn needle, I'm going to draw one tail through the front of the pouch, and then use my hook to draw the other tail through the front. With both tails pulled through the front of the pouch, I'm just going to double check that it lines up with the buttonhole and it can fit through. Once everything looks good, then I'm going to tie both ends together and then weave them into the pouch. Trim off that last tail. And there's my finished pouch. Now it's ready to use for any small items you might have. I hope you guys really enjoyed this pattern, and if you try it out, please tag me on Instagram at @thepudgyrabbit. I love to see what colors you choose and what you guys make. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know what other tutorials you like to see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.